This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with a daily wrestling news update for you. First of all, congratulations to former Great North Wrestling announcer Alicia Atut, who was originally part of AEW, not under contract, but did some work with AEW when it first started. Now she's back with AEW. She's actually contracted and will be a Dynamite announcer. I'm pretty sure probably backstage announcer, but time will tell. She is MJF's girlfriend. Uh, is it a coincidence that he's returning and suddenly she has a contract? Probably not. But she is a great backstage announcer. I'm not I'm suggesting that probably there's no coincidence that they're going to be on the shows together, and he probably was for it, but she is very deserving of a contract. Not like some of Batista's girlfriends that he got contracts over the years to be announcers and stuff in WWE, and they didn't quite work out. Tons of news today. Apparently, there was heat regarding CMLL and AAA wrestlers appearing in Forbidden Door. Which does anyone? I mean, I'm sure maybe they care in Mexico, but does anyone really? I know for Canada here, where we're not really fans of Mexican wrestling, it's not really anything to get excited about if CMLL and AAA wrestlers appear on the same cards. Which I couldn't tell you anyone really from either promotion other than Tessa Blanchard is in CMLL, and I doubt that AEW will use her in any capacity due to her heat. But apparently, money talks more than interpromotional heat, and Tony Khan has managed to get AEW and AAA on the same page for Forbidden Door. Brandon Thurston, who's in a bunch of videos on this channel, has found out through a public records request that for AEW's summer residency in Arlington, Texas, they're paying only 232,000 to bring 5 AEW Collision shows in July and August, as well as a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, as if anyone cares about the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, to the Exports Arena in Arlington, Texas. It will only be set up for 1,200 seats. So they'll probably buy, I don't know how they're going to do for that, but they're probably going to have, even with only 1,200 seats. Arlington, for anyone that doesn't know, it's part of the Dallas market, so it's a huge market. But are they going to be able, for 6 shows, to be able to get 1,200 tickets? Who knows? I thought they might be hiring the Von Erichs for this, but someone close to the Von Erichs told me a few weeks ago the Von Erichs were still negotiating with multiple companies. So who knows? I guess we'll find out. But they are getting a deal there. They might be spending a fortune on wrestlers they're not even using, but they're getting a deal to run so many events in this arena that's only going to be set up for about 1,200. By the way, speaking of ticket price or tickets attendance, NXT has their Battleground pay-per-view this Sunday, and it's only being set up for 300 for a pay-per-view, and they're not sold out for 300 tickets at the Vegas Apex UFC's facility. They have not sold 300 tickets, which is crazy. They did get a good rating this week, 0.22 rating, which is good for NXT. Um, or 0.24, I believe it was actually 0.24. They did a 0.24 rating, which was more than Dynamite did last week, more than Collision did last week, which only did a 0.11, with Will Ospreay in the main event, which, by the way, apparently the schedule of AEW, according to reports, Will Ospreay's finding it hard and might be taking a sabbatical. There's some reports saying this, which Triple H may have been right about Ospreay as far as not being ready for the grind. which AEW is far from a grind. And Rampage only did a 0.09, so NXT demolished Rampage in Collision and beat Dynamite. So good for NXT. But bad that you can't sell 300 tickets to a pay-per-view. I would expect to see more of this TNA influence on NXT in the pay-per-view now that it appears more likely than not that WWE is absorbing TNA. We've heard of TNA clearing out all of its backstage people, not maybe not all of it, but a hell of a lot of their executives, and we haven't heard of any new ones being hired, which is a good indication that NXT might be doing a real takeover. We've seen this whole NXTNA thing with Jordan Grace wearing that. WWE is going to do Stanley Cup Championship belts for whoever the winners of the Stanley Cup final is tonight. I'm going for Edmonton because I've wrestled in the Oilers arena and I've wrestled in Edmonton, both amateur and pro a bunch. Edmonton is a real wrestling city, by the way. People love that. Yeah, Ivan, I know CMLL is owned by a wealthy family. CMLL is probably doing second best as far as worldwide wrestling companies right now. They're pretty hot. WWE is making more money than ever. New Japan's not hot at all. TNA looks like it's pretty much being absorbed. NWA is practically oblivious. MLW hardly runs, and I'm not sure if they even have a TV show or not. WOW never gets the credit it deserves. It actually does way better ratings than TNA and New Japan, like usually quadruple the ratings of TNA. But for whatever reason, WOW doesn't get the credit it deserves. So I'll be back again later with more news. Great North Wrestling, for anyone that doesn't know, is returning to Napanee, Ontario, Saturday, June 29th. I will be returning to the ring that day. I'm training really hard for this. Back to deadlifting over 400 pounds finally. We're also going to be in Petawawa August 31st, so I'm looking forward to both of those events. I'm going to be kicking ass on those for sure. Someone says wrestling nowadays is unwatchable. Very few talent and storylines that are interesting. I agree. I fully agree. The Rock. I didn't necessarily. I mean, I was happy to see The Rock back, but I didn't necessarily like buy into that storyline with Cody Rhodes too much. Like I wasn't in. I didn't want to. I still haven't seen the match. That's how little I cared about it. But I liked seeing The Rock back. But I can't tell you the storyline I'm interested in most right now in wrestling is did WWE buy TNA, which I believe they have, but I'm waiting for confirmation on this. That's the most interesting storyline in wrestling. And also AEW getting worse and worse and worse. I kind of find this interesting as well for whatever reason. Those are pretty much the two things that I find interesting in wrestling right now. Give this video a thumbs up.